Welcome to Honestly Rated, and today we'll be talking about your favorite 5-head Skylander, Dr. Neo Cortex. When it comes to Honestly Rated, I've seen Cortex and Crash asked a couple times, and finally we're getting to one of them, the mad genius himself, Cortex. He's a character that I believe has a lot of hate online, or maybe just a lot of hate back in the past, and I believe it was because they are crossover characters, but I've honestly never really minded, just because it's not like they took a slot from anybody. They're realistically just addition characters that were here for whatever reason, and I thought they were pretty cool back in the day. But today we're gonna see if he was honestly ever any good, which he better be, because again, he's a crossover character. They could do so much stuff with this guy, so let's go find out. Taking a look at his gameplay and design to really see if he was honestly ever any good. Now before we go into the gameplay, let me give you his lore. Now obviously when it comes to Neo Cortex, he isn't a Skylander. So how did he get to the island? Or how did the Skylanders get to his island? Well, apparently there is a once in 2 decade wormhole that can open up when 2 worlds perfectly align. Obviously these 2 worlds aligned and the wormhole opened up. And the reason why Cortex is a Skylander is because of the whole thing that happened in the level. You know, he's gonna build an army to try to take over things because, you know, he's a mad scientist with the rhythmic beats of this synchronization that happened, but fake Crash came through and crashed the party, pun intended, taking that really big robot and sending bad beats everywhere. This forces Cortex to work with Crash and the Skylanders to stop him, because if they don't, the whole island will fucking explode. And obviously if the world explodes, he doesn't have a place to rule anymore, so he's kind of forced to help out. Now with the lore out the way, let's go take a look at Cortex and see what type of mad villainy he is really up to. For our first moves, we have Blaster Beam and Mask the Pain. When it comes to the beginning of Neo Cortex, he's just kind of boring. Not bad, just boring. When it comes to the beginning of Neo Cortex, we're able to shoot our Blaster Beam. This Blaster Beam shoots little electricities that are 3 different colors. Now these colors don't matter whatsoever, at least to my knowledge, because they all do 45 damage, and that's it. There is a cool little property that happens with this gun, but that's for later. Now one thing I want you to keep in mind while we go through his moveset, remember Cortex is a sorcerer, and he has a blaster. Maybe he can pick it up later. But we also have another move where we do actually summon something, and that is Uka Uka. Now I won't lie to you, I am no Crash aficionado, but I believe this is like the evil version of one of those tiki masks. Aku Aku's the good one. And I can remember Aku Aku not wanting bones in his pizza, which is totally fair, because who wants bones in their pizza? But back on the case, we have Uka Uka, and he's able to shove enemies right in front of him. This does 81 damage, it's highly spammable, and it's really fucking big. And let's say you jump and decide you want to use Uka Uka, instead of Uka Uka coming out, you're able to shoot the ground. This also doing 81 damage and also doing a slight shove, which Uka Uka himself can also do. It's not a full knockback, it's just a slight push. And realistically, these are going to be the 2 things you probably use the most. The blaster's just kind of slow, comparatively, again, to the mask. And the mask is just crazy spammable for some reason. The amount of times I use this mask, you better just call me Eustace at this point. Other than Cortex being boring for a little bit right now, he does do the damage he needs to do. And for some, that's all you need. For our first set of upgrades that we can buy, we have What's Mine Is Yours and Hoverboard. With these set of upgrades, they honestly kind of fix some of the boredom that Cortex has. Because with these 2 upgrades, he becomes a pretty funny guy. With our first upgrade, we get the ability to place mines. Unlike other enemies where you would just place them on the ground and wait for enemies to step on them, Cortex likes to lob these guys like they're snowballs. And with it, you're able to just practically juggle any enemy you want. They do 65 damage and they do sit on the ground. You're able to have 2 of these on the ground at once before the other one explodes. And honestly, it just makes for a pretty fun upgrade. Another cool thing too is that when you use a mine on an enemy, if you start using your blaster right after, you can just keep enemies in the sky. As if you're some sheriff in a cowboy game, whipping your 6-shooter out and just absolutely blowing the shit out of anybody's mind. It is honestly a really fun little gimmick. And you won't believe what our second upgrade gives us. It's a fucking hoverboard. This hoverboard is practically just Neo Cortex but faster now. When you're on the hoverboard, you're able to still use your pistol shots, still able to place down mines, and you also have a self-destruct feature, which does 132 damage and launches enemies really far back. The hoverboard is also just a little fun thing you can do. It definitely makes Cortex a lot faster, which he is honestly kind of a slow guy, which is why I didn't really like using his blaster too much. But using the blaster like this, especially when you're able to run over enemies that do 43 damage, you can stack up a lot of damage really quickly. And again, you can still place mines practically right on top of enemies, so doing like roughly 100 damage, then the 100 damage after the self-destruct after that's activated, which either you can do by yourself by pressing O, or just by waiting out the timer for your hoverboard. Nonetheless, I really do enjoy these 2 upgrades. It just makes him a really goofy character, which is what he's supposed to be, this like overly goofy villain guy that doesn't do shit right. Then for our our last two upgrades, we have the Multi-Mine and a Mask Hooray Aid. To be honest with you, these two upgrades aren't really too much. With our Multi-Mine, anytime a mine hits the ground, it'll launch another one. We can have up to 5 mines on the ground before other ones start exploding, and it low-key just makes the battlefield very chaotic. With 5 mines on the ground, you can have an enemy bounce between every single one of them and then die right at the end. It's low-key a pretty fun thing to watch. Then for our other upgrade, we're able to block projectiles now with Uka Uka. Personally, I wish he would, like, I don't know, chew it and then spit it back out at enemies, because that would be pretty fun. But apparently he just tanks that bitch to the face and says fuck you. It's definitely easy to do since, again, Uka Uka is humongous, and you can do it with practically every projectile. There is just like nothing to really gain from it, which in some ways just makes it kind of feel not worth it. But I guess depending on the enemy, like those stupid insect lobbers, it can definitely be very useful. But when we get into the path, stuff is about to get very interesting. First up, we have the Gadget Galore path, where we have Entropy's slow-mo flow. With this upgrade, we finally get Cortex's staff. Remember, he's a sorcerer, he's supposed to have one of those things, but instead he has his Glock in hand, glocking people down like he's an Oblak. And realistically, he doesn't even use his staff, he places that bad boy down. With his staff, he's able to make a slow field. This slow field obviously makes enemies go slow-mo. It's a small field, it does do 30 damage when placed, and that's realistically it. It is a nice thing because, again, Cortex is a slow guy, so if you're for some reason can't use your hoverboard, placing one of these bad boys down and running away from all enemies is a pretty viable strat. You could also get a bunch of enemies to go inside of it and then suicide bomb with your hoverboard, because what are they gonna do? Run. It's a fine upgrade, but obviously the upgrades to upgrade this upgrade make it a way better thing, so let's go take a look at those. We have Insane Bolt and Blaster Fracture for our last two. Here comes part 2 Electric Bugaloo for the top path. With Insane Bolt, anytime we shoot, we now get to shoot out little sparks off of our little staff. These little sparks do a pretty sizable amount of damage of 30, just like the damage it does when you first place it, and if you can shoot pretty quick, obviously these things come out pretty quickly. You can't really aim where these things go, so it just kind of splashes around, but again, any enemy inside of it is going slow-mo, so it's not like they're going to be able to run away from it. And then our last upgrade, Blaster Fracture, just kind of adds upon that. Anytime we get hit by that little bolt of electricity, we now get to supercharge ourselves. This allows us for our blaster to fracture into even more bullets. This makes a little star formation whenever it decides to dissipate, and obviously is very good for when there's a bunch of enemies on screen. The best way to maximize this effect is just by sitting under your staff and just constantly walking around, because then you can constantly keep getting hit and making sure that the effect is still added on, because it will go away after some time. It's another one that's just very chaotic to look at and kind of fun to use. I will say this star formation, I swear, is just out to get me though, because a lot of times when I use it, I would just look at enemies and see them perfectly weave between my bolts. But I'm pretty sure that's just a me thing, because I'm pretty sure if I was playing a level where there was a very compact area, enemies would be getting shredded. So if you like seeing things fly, and you like to be electrified, this will be the path for you. But if you want the homeboy Uka Uka to do a little bit more, I think the bottom path is what you're looking for. And the name of that path is Wonderful Wizardry, where we have Buka Buka and Mask in the Mirror. Like I said before, this is going to be dealing with Uka Uka. The first one, Buka Buka, makes it so he's more of like a wandering spirit than just something you pull out of your pocket. It allows for Uka Uka to just kind of go a further distance, pushing enemies further back, and allowing you to use it more as a projectile than something you would use right in front of people's faces. Then for our other upgrade, Mask in the Mirror, we're able to summon a small Uka Uka for any block projectiles we get. This small Uka Uka will also deal with other projectiles by zapping it before it hits you, and if that projectile is near enemies, it'll do 102 damage. I really enjoy this for some reason. Like I said before, I think blocking projectiles just didn't feel rewarding in any way. Yeah, you would have been able to block it and make sure that you didn't take any damage, but at the same time, I feel like something should have came out of it. And luckily with this path, something did. I also like it because this is a pretty unique move. I don't know if I just can't remember or I literally haven't seen any, but there isn't very many anti-air force type moves like this. And it feels really rewarding now to be able to look for those projectiles and block them, especially because anytime those projectiles are near an enemy, again, they'll do 102 damage. So overall, pretty W upgrades, and we still have one more to look at, and that is you do that voodoo. If you ever wanted to feel like Syndrome from The Incredibles, this is the upgrade for you. The reason being is that anytime you use Uka Uka and you decide to hold down O, you'll be able to use them like a Green Lantern ring, swinging them around, hitting any enemy in front of you, pushing them away, dealing 65 damage, and treating any enemy like a bug on a windshield wiper. Overall, it's a very goofy move that is like, alright, if you get good at controlling it, yeah, you could probably just hit every enemy on screen and they just wouldn't be able to hit you just because of the shove. And there is some type of reference that's in my head that I want to reference so hard right now, but I physically can't think what it is. So if you know any other things from media that might end up looking like this, put it down in the comments. I truly don't know, but this reminds me of something so hardcore and I just can't put my finger on it. Then for our soul gem, we have dead or up high. We finally get another move that utilizes the staff. With this upgrade, we're able to hold down square, grab our staff, and slam it down onto the ground. Any enemies that are near us will go flying high into the sky, allowing us to set up practically anything we want. We can use mines, we can shoot bullets to, you know, just kind of fire at them in the sky like I said you could do before. You could use the stupid fucking Green Lantern ring. You could use your slow-mo. Whatever you want, you can do. It does 152 damage just kind of off rip, so that's kind of nice. But overall, I find it to be kind of an alright soul gem. For the reason being is that if you do use your blaster, you have to make sure you keep hitting them. Right after you hit them one time, they will fall down faster than if you just didn't. And sometimes the blaster just likes hitting different things for some reason, so sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. But at least we're able to see his staff one more time. But I also lied. We also have his Sky Chi Rebilita laser. Even though I don't put Sky Chis in my rating, I still like to show him off just to make sure I get everything. And honestly, with this Sky Chi, it's not that great in my opinion. He summons a big laser from the sky where he uses his staff, so technically it's here. And you just have like this giant beam firing upon enemies, dealing 72 damage. The only problem is that the beam itself isn't really that big, and realistically it just doesn't do that much damage. You just have that big impact damage from after using the move where it hits for like 400, so that's whatever. It's kind of cool, but now for real, this is the last time we'll see your stuff. But now with that all out the way, it's time for me to give you my honest rating on Cortex. Cortex is a pretty fun character. I like his mines, I like how you can use his gun in the air. I like both paths a lot. Personally, I think I like the bullet one more just because I really like seeing shit fly. But again, I also really like the air defense one. It's a really cool upgrade, and again, I don't know how many Skylanders really have stuff like that. His hoverboard's pretty fun to use. He is just an overall pretty fun and goofy character. The only thing I can really criticize is that, again, this guy is a sorcerer, and he was straight glocking down any enemy he could see. Personally, I think they should have just put him in a different category, or made him use his staff more, because there was practically no sorcering to be done, unless you count Uka Uka, which I guess he was here, and he's also pretty cool. But overall, just because of the sorcerer thing, I'm gonna give him a honest 4.5 out of 5. It's just because I have principles, and lying to me goes against my principles. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Honestly Rated. Let me know who you want to see next, and let me know what you think about Cortex below. These videos come out every single Saturday, but with my schedule being a lot busier than normal, subscribing will make sure that you help me out, and also make sure that if I don't make Saturday, you'll be updated when I actually do post it. Liking the video would also be pretty nice, or disliking it, I don't really care. And if you want to see any more Honestly Rated videos, there's a big playlist on your screen now. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.